The queuing system.
It's the Son of God. It's God the Son.
Queuing system,
So
yeah.
that means God came more than once as a human being.
God the Son. I'm saying to you,
No,
you don't have to accept
that is not
it.
Jesus. I'm sorry.
It's God the
That
Son.
is not Jesus.
It's God the Son.
That is not Jesus. That is God Himself. Because it says without mother, without father, without beginning, without one. That's God.
Well,
So this
but
is not.
Christians
This
believe
is
it's
not
also-
Jesus. This is God.
Melchizedek?
That is not Jesus. Without mother, without father, without beginning, without end, that's God. That's not a human being.
It's God the Son.
It's not God the Son. No, it doesn't say that. If every
But God the
word
Son
in-
at the beginning.
If every word in this Bible,
According to God the Son at the beginning.
He was born.
God the Son
of a
had a
woman.
beginning.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
God the Son had a beginning.
No, he didn't. That's what
Never had a
Arius taught.
beginning.
Did
That's
God
what Arius taught.
did God the Son have an
Arius
ending?
was excommunicated in the 4th century.
Did God?
That's why it says eternally begotten. There never was.
That's fine.
There
Eternal-
never was a time when he wasn't begotten.
Okay.
Because God is always true to himself.
Okay. Did God the Son?
God was never without the Son. In other words, God has always been the Father.
Did God the Son have an ending?
Does he have an end?
Did God the Son have an ending? So he didn't end on the cross. The Son.
How can the God the Son end? God the Son is God.
God the Son didn't end on the cross?
God the Son is also God.
Jesus died on the cross.
Well, He was not God.
He wasn't just God.
What else was He?
You see, the Christian teaching, as I say, whether you accept it or not, you've got to get it right what it is. So God the Son is the person, and that person became man through something you believe in, right? The virgin birth. Why, if Jesus was just a prophet, why, by the way, is there a virgin birth? Are there any other prophets that had a virgin birth? You believe in a virgin birth, right? But why wasn't Muhammad a virgin birth? No, but what was so special about Jesus to you that he needed to have a virgin birth?
In 4 different ways. No father, no mother, father and mother, no father.
Okay, well,
God's power.
so what the Church, Orthodox Christianity teaches, right, is that in Jesus Christ there are two natures. There's a divine nature and a human
But
nature.
then that's not possible. Nothing that God has ever
Well, but-
created
But
can be
it's a
100%.
different- but that's a different
Can
issue.
be 200% of anything. It
But
cannot
that's a different
possible.
issue. It's like me saying it's not possible for Muhammad to ride to heaven on a horse. It's a different issue. That's what you believe, and I'm explaining to you what Christians believe. I'm not saying that it's right
no,
or
no,
wrong.
that's a different thing. I'm saying nothing can be 200%.
It's not 200%.
It's 100% a book. It cannot be 100% a book and a glass of water. It's not possible. So Jesus cannot be 100% God and 100% man.
Do you have a
It's
soul?
not possible. Let's not go down that road.
Okay.
Let's not
have
go
a soul?
down that road. Yeah. I have a
have a
soul, a
soul?
body, yes, and
Okay,
a
so
spirit.
you have two natures.
Yeah, so
Is your soul, are you half soul, half body, or are you a whole body and a whole soul?
you can see my body, you can't see my soul.
You are a whole
Man
body
become
and a whole
living
soul.
You can become a living
I'm also bones, I'm also bones and flesh.
Yeah, but you are a
go
whole
round in
body and a whole
circles.
soul. That's 200% according to
It's
you.
not
You're
200%.
200% yourself.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
How can it be 200%?
Actually, I think the distinction here needs to be made between what the brother is saying about what Christian Orthodox belief is, as opposed to what the scriptures actually say. Now, if, for example, the brother talks about two natures, the first point of call, logically speaking, would be to go to the source itself and see what
He's my twin.
and see what the source says. Yeah,
What says?
the source.
The source.
Yeah.
Right.
So obviously, I mean, it wouldn't make sense that we develop a whole idea and not base it on the source itself. So I would actually consider this as one perspective that, okay, if we said that there are two natures of a human being, in this instance, Jesus Christ,
That's what,
Christian Orthodoxy understands
but
it to
not
be.
Coptic Christians,
Yeah.
right?
But if that is the case, then the first thing I would want to do is, okay, let's go to the source. Does the source have anything specific in relation to this idea? Do we have anything?
Yes, because confusingly, the Bible teaches that speaks of Jesus as a man.
Yes.
He prays,
Yes.
he eats,
Yes.
he at one stage he has regrets,
Yeah.
he does all the things that a man does, but he also has the attributes of God.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm Shabir, you are?
Lionel.
Nice meeting you, Lionel.
You too,
No,
yeah.
I
So
can
that's
agree
why
that,
so
right.
that's why it's confusing. It is.
I understand what you mean, but if we take it from that perspective, like I just said, and I use the word specifically, if I were to look at the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, I would want to see a specific statement which clarifies this two natures idea.
See, the thing is, though, that the Bible was written by the Bible. Even like non-believer scholars, right, would say that probably the earliest book in the Bible is something like. They think maybe Kings or Samuel, but in any event, it was written over about 1,000 years by different people.
Yes.
When the first books were written, the Jews hadn't been exposed to Greek culture at all.
Okay.
By the time the last books were written, you had a very, very different culture. It's different from the Qur'an, which, whatever you believe about its ultimate authorship, we know was written in the space of about 20, 30 years. Right. So, in other words, that's why it's more coherent, because it was written in the space of 20, 30 years. The Bible was written over about 1,000 years by people who started off not being exposed to Hellenistic culture. By the end of it, they've been exposed to Persian Zoroastrian culture and Hellenistic culture as well.
Yes.
So there's a development of ideas in there.
I can agree with you.
It is a more difficult book to kind of like derive a single message from.
I can actually agree with that view. However, again, like I said, if there is a believer, and he has a perspective, that perspective ought to be initially based on the source material itself. Now, the way I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, if I agree with you...
Become a libertarian, by the way.
May I have a look at it?
This is what you need to be, libertarian.
Right, we'll go next to that once we have...
Give him a copy of Qur'an.
I've got one. Mohammed Marmaduke Pickford's translation.
But as I was saying, brother, you see, I would want,
Mohammed Marmaduke.
I would want to look at the source, and
Yeah, he was English,
you know, when you said that there was a development, an evolution of thought, and how it influenced the Bible. That is the suggestion being made. Now, the question is this: if there were influences, and those influences somehow crept into this particular book, one would now have to decipher exactly what was revealed or...
It's confusing because you live in a Protestant country. Because Protestants have a slightly different... The Bible to... Imagine I've got a Bible here. The Bible isn't what's called a flat book.
Like one?
It's not like a flat book.
Yes.
So in other words, you don't start at the beginning and then get to the end and say, what does it mean? To a Jew, the Old Testament is like a flat book. To a Christian, you've got an Old Testament and a New Testament. And as Paul himself says in his epistles, there are things to a Christian that are hidden in the Old Testament. So St. Augustine, you know St. Augustine, he said the new is hidden in the old, and the old is revealed in the new. So the way a Christian should read the Bible is they should read the New Testament, then the Old Testament, and a Christian interpretation of the Old Testament, as opposed to, say, a Jewish or an Islamic, is precisely that. It's interpreted using what's called a hermeneutical screen of the New Testament.
Absolutely.
Right? So at the end of the day, that means that you will have something written in the Old Testament that, to all intents and purposes, seems to be saying A, but a Christian will say it says B, and the reason they'll say it says B is because there's a comment in the New Testament that says that.
That's understandable. However, if we are looking at the source and somebody is going to suggest to us that, look, there may be something that is hidden, which is not apparent. It may become apparent later. Understood. But if we are going to take specific statements, as you were discussing about John 1:1 also, I would suggest that for two natures to be made apparent, something specific has to have been mentioned. Now, we know from the conversation so far that there isn't anything specific. If there was, there wouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah, but you see, to some extent, I think, again, it's because you are yourself a Muslim, presumably, and you live in a Protestant culture. Now, see, Orthodox Christianity is not a religion of the book in the same way that Protestants claim it is, in the same way that Islam is. It's not, because Christians didn't believe oh look, these guys have come and they've given us this book and they've said this is the book, believe it. Because, you know, the Bible itself was only actually canonized over a period of time. It took 300 or 400 years.
Yes.
And to this day, there was never a formal canonical list. So, for example, there are certain churches in the East that don't recognize the book of Revelation, for example. So, but if you actually read Timothy, for example, then what the Bible, the New Testament actually teaches is that Jesus founded the church based upon the 12 apostles.
Yes.
And actually authority resides in the church. And the Bible is a part of that authority.
Now,
but there's nothing in, sorry, just to finish, there's nothing in Orthodox Christianity that says that you can only believe something explicitly taught in the Bible. What it says is you can't believe anything that contradicts the Bible, and that's a different thing.
I entirely agree with you. But when you make a distinction between the church and the source, my question
but the
still...
source is Jesus, not the Bible, right?
I still initially would contend which one ought to come first, the source or the church?
Well, the way I look at it is that as a Christian, I don't believe in the Bible, I believe in Jesus.
Right, so are you a Christian?
Am I a Christian?
Yeah, because earlier on you said, well, I'm not necessarily
He's a Christian of sorts.
The guy standing here preaching the gospel probably would say I'm not a Christian.
He might not identify with the way you look at things.
I'm kind of like a Sufi Muslim. Don't give me a hard time. I'm kind of
For the rest of this video, come to All Truth Revealed.